Hi Maida, hi Christine. So this is my last video before I leave for college, which is kind of intense. And so the story behind this video is, this is my book tag video. And I actually filmed this video already. I filmed it the day after my last video, and I was going to upload it as a bonus video. I just completely forgot to upload it. And originally I was like, oh cool, now I can just upload it on Friday and I won't have to make a video on Friday. Then I remembered getting my hair dyed, and I promised you guys that I'd have pink hair in the next video, and I just can't stand to disappoint the droves of adoring fans that are just, they would knock down my door if I didn't do it. So this is for you guys. So, my first book that I'm going to have is pretty obvious. It's Harry Potter. This is The Goblet of Fire, and as you can see, it's pretty well loved. The spine is all wonky, and look at that. I've had this since it came out. I don't even remember what year it is. I'm gonna try and find out. But the reason I picked The Goblet of Fire, other than the fact that the Sorcerer's Stone is at my dad's house and it's not here, is because the Goblet of Fire, 2000, ooh, holy crap, wow. Yeah, my mom used to get them whenever they came out, so we've had this since 2000, but it's been in my possession since probably 2002 or 2003, and I haven't let go of it since. It's mine. So the reason is because this is my favorite Harry Potter book, as you can tell by the well-lovedness. The Goblet of Fire to me was like the real transition from the really fun kids book atmosphere of the first books to the, more adult, dark aspects of the later books in the series. And it's not nearly as dark as like the Half-Blood Prince or the Deathly Hallows, but it's still gritty, and I love it. That's something that gets me. I like darkness in my books, even as a child. I loved drama. And Harry Potter, I think it goes without saying, was a major part of my childhood. I learned to read with these books, and this is the first book that I remember, like, really reading by myself. The other ones I had help from my mom, and I read them by myself, but I think this one was the first one that I got like all the way through on my own with no help. And it took me a really long time, but it was so worth it. And it's also my favorite of the movies, even though they left a lot of my favorite parts out in the movies. So yeah, this is probably my book that if I was stranded on a desert island, or if I could only pick one book I had to read for the rest of my life, it would be this one, probably. Because the other books here are really great, have great substance, but they're not as long, and I could read this over and over again. So yeah. So my next book is one that I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably haven't heard of. This was something that I had to read for my summer reading when I was going into 6th grade. It was the same summer that the Deathly Hallows came out, and I'll tell you why I remember that in a minute. But this book is called A Corner of the Universe by Anne Martin. And this book was really, I don't know why, it just always stuck with me. It's about a young girl, it's set in the 50s, she lives with her mother, and they run a boarding house. And it's about the people who live in the boarding house, but it's also about her mother's brother who comes to stay with them because he has a mental disorder. He was born with, I think, with Down syndrome or autism. I don't remember specifically, it's been a while since I read it, but he was born as a mentally challenged child, and he was sent away to a school, and the school shut down. So now he's come to stay with them. And the young girl, she's never been exposed to this kind of thing. It wasn't something people talked about back then, and so it's some new to her. But she ends up becoming really close with her uncle. And I would do it injustice by spoiling any of it, but I would have to spoil it to tell you what really stuck with me. All I can tell you is that this is the first book, I think, that made me cry. Because I read this first, and then The Deathly Hallows came out, and I read that, and Deathly Hallows made me cry too, but I think this was the first one that brought me to tears. So, and it's definitely worth a read. I haven't read it, so maybe I'm wrong, but if it's as good as I remember it being, it's worth a read. Alright, so next we have The Outsiders, and it's a little book, and it is so perfect. I could go on forever about how much I love The Outsiders. I love the characters, I love the storytelling, and I love how it is completely, mercilessly realistic. It doesn't give you, the optimistic view. It tells you how things really are, and that is something rare in a book written for, the younger end of teenagers. And I mean, this is great for high schoolers too, but I read this in 8th grade, and it doesn't talk down to kids because it's written from the perspective of a kid by a kid. S.E. Hinton was, I believe, 17 years old when she wrote The Outsiders, and so it's got something very earnest that I feel very few books are able to capture that are written by adults for young adults. So, I think there's just something extremely unique about it, and again, I can hardly tell you why I love it without spoiling it, and that would be a major injustice to this book. So I'm just going to tell everyone, if you haven't read The Outsiders in your lifetime, you haven't lived, okay? This is a must-read. And now, the one we were all waiting for, the one that we all knew is coming, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. You can see the poster in the background. So as all of you know, I'm a pretty big John Green fan. Christina Maida, you know this because I basically shoved the Vlogbrothers down your throat. But I know you enjoy it too. The Fault in Our Stars was the last John Green book I read, obviously, because it's the last one that came out. I'd read all of his other books before, and I loved them, and I love Paper Towns, and I love Looking for Alaska, and I love Abundance of Catherines, and I also love The Fault in Our Stars. This book, I remember running home from school when it came out, and grabbing it. I had to open it. I went up to my room. I told everyone to just don't bother me, and I flipped it open, and I had to look, because I got the signed copy. Ugh, if you can see that, I'm having trouble. So, and that was so important to me, because even if I didn't get to meet John Green, he touched the book, and I've never had a signed copy of a book before, so that was awesome. But The Fault in Our Stars, another book that just brought me to tears, and I know most people already know what happens in the book, but I'm not going to spoil it because, again, it would do injustice to anybody who hasn't read it, and I recommend that everybody go ahead and read it. It's definitely emotional, and it captures teenagers in a very interesting way. I think John Green has an ability to write young people that very few adult authors have. I think that he makes teenagers very smart and very, adult, because they're not children. Teenagers aren't children, and they're capable of being smart and thinking of things deeply and complexly, and I think John Green grasps that perfectly. So The Fault in Our Stars is a great book, and it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you you know, want to crawl into a hole and never come out. But you'll be happy about it, and you'll thank the book for that. So, yeah. So those are the books on my shelf. I mean, I have plenty more, but these are my top books. Oh, I missed one. Give me a sec. Alright, I'm trying to make this video not as long as my other ones. I make such long videos, but I can't help it. So this is The Catcher in the Rye. It's one of my favorite books. Holden Caulfield is my all-time favorite character in literature. He's such an asshole, and I love him so much. And I identify with him in weird ways, and J.D. Salinger's writing style is unmatchable. I don't know what to say about The Catcher in the Rye that hasn't been said by everyone and their mother since it came out. So yeah, that's all my favorite books, and I will see you guys on Sunday. But after that, I'm going to college on Thursday. So, love you guys. Bye.